man.
Yeah, yeah.
You're a new band, not new band. This band's been before Velvet Revolver, now is back after Velvet Revolver, Loaded.
And it actually even been on a little bit during Velvet Revolver. Just a quick history. After Guns, I'd moved back home to Seattle and to get into a business school that I wanted to go to. And got in to the school, and it was taking a full load of classes. But I couldn't just stop playing music. Music's what I do, and it's what I've done since I was 13. So just started playing around town with some guys, and soon met Mike, who's sitting here to my
left. What's up, Mike? Sorry to ignore you. How you doing, man?
Mike hails from Granite Falls, Washington, the meth capital of the United States.
Ah, congratulations.
Maybe.
I thought this was the
Oprah went there.
Yeah.
This is the meth capital of the South.
Oh.
Yeah. We haven't made the United States yet.
Yeah, no, Granite Falls is a different story.
Yeah.
I believe. Anyhow, we started playing about 99 or so, and we made. I was still going to college. We made a record in 2001. Did a little licensing deal with EMI for Japan. Did another licensing deal for a European label, and we'd go to Japan and play on my spring break and that kind of stuff. We'd play around the West Coast, but in 2002, Slash and Matt and I did that show. It was a benefit show, and that was the first time the three of us had played together since '94 or something. And it was kind of this important, magical moment, and that's when VR started up, and it kind of took precedent in my life over everything. We kind of got tunnel vision, and eventually got Scott in to sing, and so on. And the rest is sort of history. But Loaded, we kept playing, and we always planned on making a second record. We didn't think it was going to take us 8 years.
Yeah.
But
well, Weiland was in here like a month ago, promoting his solo stuff. Is Velvet Revolver dead, as far as you know?
It's not dead. We're not going to do it with Scott.
It's dead with Scott.
It's dead with Scott. Yeah.
Are you on the search for a new singer, or you have somebody in mind?
There was a bunch of guys, and now we're kind of weeding it down. We got over 300 applications.
What I'm thinking about how odd it would be to sit in a classroom with a guy who's from one of the most dangerous bands of all time, Guns N' Roses.
I'm telling you, you know what? The school I went to was so tough. It was a top business school in the U.S. and it was so tough that nobody really had time for any of that.
And is this true or false? I read this, and who knows if it is, but I'm glad you're here. Did you make a ton of money off investing in Starbucks and Microsoft? So you made some major investments that paid off?
I'll tell you, that's been a rumor that grew out of, I'm not sure where.
Okay.
I mean, it's great. It's a great myth. But in '94, I gotten sober, and that's when I really started thinking about, okay, what damage have I done in my life, and how can I start cleaning stuff up? And one of the first things I did was start going through. I had a file cabinet full of financial statements from the previous 6 years, and I started just going through them and reading them, and it didn't make sense. And I was 30 years old. I thought everybody else had passed me by as far as economic knowledge.
Right. Yeah.
But I got into school. I was too embarrassed to ask anybody.
Right.
Frankly, and I got into school, and I realized in school that I was not alone. That pretty much all of us, what do we learn about PE ratios and aggregates and all this stuff? We don't.
You were learning how to play bass when you were in school.
I was playing in punk rock bands when I was, started touring when I was 15 years old, and ended up in LA when I was 19.
So it's not true. You didn't make those investments?
Well, okay, so
I think he's doing all right.
Yeah, right.
'94, I started investing once I started to know what I was doing. '94, '95, I was living back in Seattle. I was looking around what you're supposed to do. Look around your own community and look what's growing. And I use that. I drink that coffee. I looked at they're building out more stores, and they're building stores down in San Francisco and LA.
Smart.
So they're growing. I'll get some Starbucks. And Microsoft, it looks like it's a local.
They're doing all right.
They were growing. So did I buy huge positions?
Okay, so it wasn't as big as it made it. It wasn't like when Forrest Gump got Apple stock in the movie at the end.
Yeah.
You live off of it forever.
Great.
Yeah.
Axl and Slash have been in the news a lot lately, going back and forth at each other through the media. And,
really?
But lately, you don't pay attention?
I don't.
Well, apparently Axl says the latest word is that Slash is cancer to any band.
I heard that.
And you've been in a band with Slash and obviously gotten along because you guys continue to work with each other.
No.
When asked about the possibility of ever the original members of Guns N' Roses taking stage together again, Axl said not with Slash, but nothing bad about you. He did not close the door on you. But what are your thoughts on that? I mean, especially after hearing that Axl's never gonna get over it with Slash and vice versa.
You know what? That was all such a long time ago. And for me, that was a lifetime ago.
Yeah.
That band was amazing. The 5 guys. It wouldn't have been that band unless it was the 5 guys who had this shared vision. We were 20 years old.
Right.
And we, formed a band and wrote music and learned how to write music and wrote songs that we believed in. We didn't care what anybody else thought. If we finally signed a deal with Geffen, only because Geffen would let us do what we wanted to do. And that's how we did it throughout our whole career. We did it the way we wanted to do it, and we went from poverty to playing stadiums in about 6 years.
Yeah.
And I look at the glass is half full. It was an amazing time. For me to talk about something current, especially somebody, calling somebody else like a cancer.
Yeah.
I've moved on, man.
Yeah.
I've absolutely moved on. My life is completely different from then. So for me, I just
No,
It's a whole different world for you.
It really is, man. And we were talking before. I mean, I've got kids,
Right.
and I deal with kid issues all the time. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so to deal with something like that with
Insignificant
grown
at
men,
this
it
point.
doesn't really make sense to me.
Did you get a chance to hear Chinese Democracy?
Yeah.
What were your thoughts?
Man, I've always been a huge fan of Axl's voice, and
Yeah.
that's not changed because I don't play with it.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, my opinion on Chinese democracy, I don't really think matters. It might as well.
Well, you were a founding member of Guns N' Roses, and it came out as Guns N' Roses.
It's
So
not
how
the
did
same.
that? It's not Guns N' Roses.
It would be like me. You asked me what I thought of the new Metallica record or U2 record.
It's a different band.
I like some songs on the new U2 record.
Yeah.
There's some songs I don't like. There's one song on the U2 record I hate.
Yeah.
It's like, I hate you guys shouldn't have done that song. And that's with every record. I love how Axl turns a phrase. Goes from, I listen to weird stuff like how he goes into a vowel sound from a consonant sound. The stuff I know he did well.
But is it an insult to even call it Guns N' Roses to the original band?
It just doesn't matter to me.
It's over. Guns N' Roses is dead to you.
It's dead to me. No, it's not. It's a really important thing in my life. I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you guys. Let's be straight up.
Sure.
If I wasn't in Guns N' Roses.
Mm-hmm.
But it was important. It's important for me to state that the 5 guys in that band, the original 5 guys, made that thing. That's why you guys talk about Guns N' Roses to this day.
Right.
It's not because of one guy. 5. Nobody got signed to a solo deal in 1987, and there's a reason for that.
You're right about that.
Right.
It was a good collection.
Yeah.
And it was attitude, like you said. You guys did it your way.
Everybody brought their own. Izzy was like this kind of cool Rolling Stones guy. I was the punk. We brought different. Slash was like this Aerosmith blues guy. Axl brought this amazing, like Nazareth. We all brought our own things.
Perfect
Steven
storm.
Adler became probably the best groove rock and roll drummer of that generation, that time, and everybody brought their own things. Steven Adler listened to Wasp and like metal stuff. But did you hear metal in his drumming? No, because with the 5 of us added and took away from each other in the exact right implements that it made that band.
And people that were fans of those styles of music were all drawn to Guns N' Roses then. If you were a punk rocker, you dig GNR.
Yeah, I mean, our crowds, when we started drawing crowds in LA, it was such a mixture of people. There was punkers. We'd go play with Social Distortion, or we'd go play, cross town with like a metal band. We'd play open for Ted Nugent. We'd open for the Chili Peppers.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah.
So
Undeniable.
if the phone rings today, we're getting the band back together. Are you joining? Are you back? Or is it so far in the past it's old news and it's never going to happen again? Should we wait for original Guns N' Roses reunion?
I can never guess, man. If somebody told me that Loaded was going to make a record and it was be one of the most inspired records you played on in years, I don't never know what's going to happen next.
Okay.
I really don't. I write 2 columns a week now for 2 different publications. If somebody told me that 8 months ago, I would say you're crazy.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going to happen next week.
And you're raising daughters.
Raising daughters. Mike Squires shaved his beard into a promotional use mustache. On his radio tour.
Raising daughters to keep them away from guys like you. Or were, as you were.
Man,
Because I'm trying to raise my daughter to keep her away from guys like me.
how old?
She's 50 days old.
50 days old, yeah.
Right.
Okay, here's what's going to change for you, my friend.
All right.
I have an 11-year-old. So I was that guy. I was you. Yeah, no dude's going to touch my daughters. And
Yeah,
she's in 6th grade now, and she's almost done with 6th grade. So beginning of 6th grade was one thing. Almost